Hey YouTube, I am here with.
Pete Navarro.
And what did you do?
I topped for the LA Regionals with Labrynth IKEA.
Do you have any shout outs first?
Yeah, I'd like to give out a shout out first to the people that support me in this game, which is my mom. She's a big part of that too. And Alex, I wouldn't be there without any of you guys, especially the man behind the camera. Appreciate all of you for the support. And then I also want to thank first two of my locals that I go to. It's Top Choice Gaming. Wonderful competitive environment if you're looking for a good store for positive reinforcement. I also really want to thank Collectible Exchange. They do a wonderful job of having local tournaments every week and supporting the player base and growing the community as well. So I want to thank both of them for a big part of that as well. And then the biggest shout out too I want to give is for my team, 24K. Getting a top 4 finish in LA was pretty good. I'm happy about that, and I played it with a deck I really thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm glad to kind of share with you guys right now.
Alrighty, let's get into the deck profile.
Alright, so first off, I played one of the Lovely Lady and then two of the Silver Ladies. Pretty much this is fine. I used to play 3 before. I think 2 is really all you need. I never missed the third one. Very minor situations against cash if you ever care for the third, but I think it's perfectly fine just to be at 2. And then I played 3, Ariane. She is definitely worth it, especially if you want to search out your bigger pieces. And what makes this build a little bit different than other builds you'll see before, why they call it IKEA, is they specialize in using 3 of each of the furniture cards. So I'm using 3 Chandelure and 3 Stovey. And this is important because these help you get to the trap cards. It also allows you to use them like pseudo hand traps. And then also coup clock. Pretty much if you have all of this together, this is kind of what sets up as IKEA build, because you have all the furnitures help interact with each other. And it allows you to play during your opponent's turn. And I think that's a really valuable thing about it. And it honestly, out of all my matches, I had 7 die rolls I lost and only won 3. So this deck can definitely play going second, and I think that's pretty much amazing in all regards, and it's actually really cool to do it with it. So what makes the IKEA build different in that it focuses more on basically pseudo hand traps. So I played 3 of the Gammas and the Driver. This was pretty much one of the best hand traps. Unfortunately it's going to be going to 1 with the new ban list, but this engine was very strong, and I understand why, and it especially facilitates so much with what you're using on your opponent's turn, and it just was fantastic all the entire weekend. Then I played 1 Ghost Ogre and 3 Ash Blossoms and 3 Nibiru's. Now, all these hand traps were pretty much fantastic. I think for the most part, Ogre might have been the most subpar one, but Nibiru was pretty much relevant in the majority of my matchups, and Gamma was pretty much the MVP, as well as Ash Blossom. A lot of players kind of forgo Ash, given the fact that they feel that it doesn't do enough, but I feel like if you encompass it with another hand trap, it just pretty much gets you there and then slows the opponent down, where they can't get too much advantage against you. So, I mean, all of these are pretty detrimental. Like I said, Ogre was probably the least impactful, easy to side out, but one of the neat things, especially with Nibiru, is that when you're going to Nibiru your opponent's board and you have either a Stovey or a Chandelure, you can actually send the Nibiru off from your hand, and you get to tribute the board, and they get no token, no monster. So it's actually pretty impressive how that all interacts with that. And then because this is the furniture build, you're going to play 3 Extravs, and the reason why you want to play Extrav is because it allows you to specifically get additional card resources, and that's important. Even though Prosperity lets you dig for a specific card, this is just all value in the long run, and it helps you get to when you need to. And then this actually won me a few games just by it existing in my deck rather than Prosperity, because the additional card I got actually just helped me do further extensions. And then the last spell I played was Labrynth. This was actually a really MVP card. I didn't realize how good this card was going to be outside of the control matchups, because especially when I played against Cash, being able to pop 2 cards off of having Lovely Lady plus this, plus the traps resolving, just lets you get free real estate on that. And that's exceptionally powerful, especially with a lot of grindy games. And also, if you play against Super Heavy Samurai, this helps you keep their scales in check, as well as maintaining the board presence. So this card was really amazing. I was really impressed with how it went so far. And then for the trap part, let's go with 2 Welcome Labyrinth and 3 Big Welcome Labyrinth. Originally, I like playing 3, but for this specific build, since they're so tutorable, you don't really need to focus on playing that many copies. Big Welcome is obviously the best one, and this is one of the most key fluctuation cards you can use, especially because it allows you to manipulate things on your opponent's turn and your turn. But one of the cool things about this is that players forget, especially if they have like a Shangira and you have a level Fiend up, they're going to try to use their effect during the standby phase to summon a monster, but if you use this in the draw phase, they actually won't be able to get the card, so a lot of them would forget that, or just not prepare for that, and this would pretty much just blow them out. It's pretty much an insane card for the parts of the Labrynth cards. And also for the more additional hand traps was 3 infinite permanents. A lot of players apparently said they weren't on this, but I think this is actually really good. Being able to combo again with Nibiru, with another hand trap, it just, again, it's free value, and you want that. You want to be able to interact on your opponent's turn, and this helps with that. So it's definitely like worth it in the long run. And then I also played for the 2 one-of hand traps was Punishment and Dharma Cannon. Punishment was okay. Actually, I did use it only just like a few times in the tournament. It's not as relevant to have multiple, and I've never liked more than multiple. One was just enough. Search it when you need it. Easy side-out card, perfectly fine. Dharma Cannon actually is an MVP for me because I would have lost a specific match in time if this wasn't for this card. Pretty much I eradicated a player for 5 spells. He summoned a cash monster. I Book-a-Mooned it with this, basically with Dharma Cannon, and then I was able to OTK him on my turn. So the fact that this was that in time, I was able to get rid of it. So this card's a crazy versus cash especially. And then also if you're worried about dealing with Pirelli in case with the new format. And then also what made my deck 41 cards, I played 3 Skill Drain. I understand why this card is powerful. I wasn't going to play it originally, but the whole point was to play more additional hand traps, and that way, if a hand trap couldn't solve a situation, the Skill Drain would. So pretty much you kind of simplify the board state as much as you can with hand traps, and then Skill Drain just makes it so your opponent doesn't get to play, and then if you have the bigger body, you pretty much win. So yeah, the Skill Drain was definitely an insane pretty card with that, though. So let me go ahead and go into the extra deck. There's Lingaribo. This is in case your opponent gives you, Ibli. I actually never had to worry about Ibli. Thankfully, when the player was able to play it, it was kind of irrelevant, and I didn't care if they gave it to me. I already had like full board established, but hopefully with the next format, we don't have to worry about playing this card anymore. So I'm kind of glad that with other cards getting touched, it's not bad. Next was up to Mudcracker. Mudcracker is actually one of the strong cards in the extra deck for Fiend type monsters because it'll protect your field. And then in addition, if you resolve things with Chaos Angel, you can use them more than once. And that's kind of why she just kind of suits a strong purpose to revive your Fiend monsters and go from there. The Tri-Brigade, and then to go with the Garua. Pretty much you send this off Punishment. If you play this, you draw a card. Pretty much substantial with that. 2 Entis. A lot of these, again, I didn't really send them off unless I was using it with Punishment. One relevant matchup I had was against the Dogmatica Ritual deck, and he actually Maximused me, and I sent both of these to pop 2 cards and just kind of like clear the board from there. So these were all really substantial in their own way. Mudcracker probably was the only one who was really relevant. Gamma for the extra deck, this is if Psyframes pretty much stayed up, or I used it on my turn. Never happened, so I never needed to worry about it. 2 Excel Synchron Dragons and 2 Barones. You play multiple names just so that way they're extract targets, if also they get banished by Diabolos at the time. Since we're not going to have to worry about that with the next format, these are easy to transition out with 2 of them. Probably all 4, honestly. You may not even need them anymore for that relevance. And then probably the card I went to the most in my extra deck was 3 Chaos Angels. I feel like you cannot play this deck without the 3 because Stovey becomes a tuner, and then when you summon this card, you banish a card. And it was pretty insane with not things dying by battle because your whole field gets protected until they deal with it. And this is probably one of the coolest cards that I think came out from the new set, and I'm really glad that it works out. All right, and then lastly, we're going to go into the side deck. So the side deck, I pretty much used every card. There's not like one card I didn't use, so all of them were pretty much relevant for the matchups. So I played 3 Bestial Magnamoots and 1 Druisworm. I tried Baldrake. I didn't care for it. I'd rather just use the Magnamoot and the Druisworm. And there's interactions with this that you can use Ariana plus this, makes it a level 10, and that's pretty relevant. And I did come up with the Druisworm plus Ariana, made Chaos Angel, and I got rid of like 2 cards. This is good against for all the matchups you got to worry about, like Drytron. I played against a Mathematic player, came in like clutch for that matchup as well. So, and then also for Sky Striker. So these cards were like really, really good. Then I decided the 1 Mudora. I wanted a Pseudo Shuffler, and I wasn't sure if someone was going to be on IKEA Labrynth as well, and this is really good for that matchup. Also, like any graveyard-dependent decks, or if I had to worry about playing against Runic, this was really strong. So it's not bad, plus it's a big body, and that's what it's meant for, really, just that. And then because it's Pride Month, I wanted to play 3 Rainbow Magicians, but in all seriousnness, the biggest reason why I played it is that it's good for Super Heavy Samurai. And I lost 1 match against Super Heavy Samurai because I opened up 2 of these, and I chose only to play 1, and my opponent Archfiend Eccentric 1, and then was able to do full combo. And if I just would have just scaled both of the cards, he would have lost. So I learned not to do that, but when I played against the Super Heavy Samurai player again, another one, I was able to use this, and there was a point where he Archfiend Eccentric popped one. I used a Stovey to discard this card in my hand, set a trap for my deck, and then trigger this in my graveyard to rescale this back. And so he wasn't able to play the game again. And then there was a point where he passed for like 15 turns. And then he had a Jinzo in play. I couldn't play traps. I cleared the Jinzo. He couldn't get rid of this. And then he basically had less than 10 cards in his deck. He sided Sludge the Floors and didn't get to them. And pretty much Pride wins. So that was pretty good for that one overall. And then I played the Kaiju Engine. I can honestly say that this was the weakest part of my side deck. I sided only mainly for cash. That's the whole point. You pretty much want to use the Slumber. I resolved it for like a 4. And then you use one of each Kaiju for the names, obviously. It's not bad. Again, there are some minor issues that you like have with it. I mean, depending on how, if you have like a Stovey, this becomes relevant, and so does Gameciel. But in the long run, though, this was okay. This is very flexible. It doesn't have to be in there, and I feel like there's better options that you can go with that. And then it was Call by the Grave, Deck Devi, and this was mainly for Super Heavy Samurai, and then Eradicator. Eradicator, like I said, was pretty MVP. It won me my matchup against a Cashier player. I eradicated him for 5, and then again, the Dharma Cannon just finished him off. So, and again, this is for Runic and other applications. So that was from all of that.
Nice. So how did you like the IKEA build compared to the heavy trap build of Labrynth?
The IKEA build is actually really good. I like the fact that, again, you can play on your opponent's turn. I feel that plays a big part, especially, again, I only won 3 die rolls out of the 9 rounds that we played. I went 8-1. So I played cash matchups where 2 out of the 3 I didn't win the die roll. My opponent got to go first, and I still won my game ones. I think it's the ability to play during your opponent's turn and also understand the interactions that the monsters in Archetype have really do set it apart from just a standard trap build where you just set 5 and forget it. I mean, I had a player who pretty much Harpy's Feather Dustered me and didn't even win the game just because I was able to play around and interact differently. And I feel like that's its strong suit compared to the normal mentality that we have that trap decks are slow and not good enough. So, I mean, overall, the weekend was fantastic. I had a great time with everything, and I was glad to see a lot of my friends, especially since I've been so busy. And I got this pretty cool mat, and I got this purple deck box out of it. So, you know, another top for the events coming up.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on getting top 4 at the LA Regionals in California.
All right, thank you.